Welcome back to BLOCKTV. This is Links in the Chain, where we speak to industry insiders to get the scoop on what's the latest in happening. And today, we're joined with Bitcoin Magazine writer Vlad Costea. Vlad, thanks for joining me.
Hi there. Yeah, I'm good to be here.
All right, good to have you with us. So you recently wrote an article reviewing the top 5 Bitcoin cold storage wallets. Which cold storage wallets did you review?
I chose the ones that were recommended on the bitcoin.org website because I assumed that there is no way I can be a better security specialist than the people who maintain the bitcoin.org project. And the projects that I chose were the Trezor Model T and the Ledger Nano X and the KeepKey, which is the oldest device in the test, and the Bitbox 02, which is the newest device in the test and was launched, I think, last month. And also the last one was the ColdCard Mark III, which is also very new. It got launched in the last month or so.
Mm-hmm. And so for those of you at home who don't know, cold storage wallets allow you to hold your actual keys in your hands and not trust an exchange. Definitely, I'm a supporter of not your keys, not your cryptos. Now, what kind of tests did you run these hardware wallets through?
So basically, I tried to install them on my computer for the first time and see what kind of interface they had. And also, I tried to analyze their likeliness. I think that was the first article that I wrote. And it was all about operation security. Because when you're carrying some Bitcoins, it doesn't matter whether or not you're carrying like 0.1 Bitcoin or 1,000 Bitcoins. You don't want to be flashy. You don't want to carry something that stands out and tells people, look at this guy, he is a Bitcoiner. You want something that resembles a regular object that you may be carrying around with you. And that's why I think I like the design of the Ledger, because it looks like a USB flash drive. Also, I think the Bitbox comes close in this regard, and the fact that it has that male connector helps it a lot. And the ColdCard also looks like a pocket calculator, even though it doesn't have the operation buttons that the calculator would have. So someone who looks carefully will notice that there's something wrong with that calculator. And the Trezor looks like your car key, your remote for the car keys, you know what I'm talking about. And then there's the KeepKey, which looks somewhat like some sort of hard drive, but it's very small. It's strange because when the screen is working, then it clearly looks like a luxury Bitcoiner item. So I guess in this regard, it's the worst to carry around. And the other test that I did was about user interfaces. And ideally, when you're using a hardware wallet, you should be running Electrum or Wasabi or some kind of client-side software that helps you keep the data inside your computer. You don't want to give away your transaction data, your IP, your email, and all that sorts of personal data to the hardware wallet manufacturer. And for example, the KeepKey, which is developed by Shapeshift, gives you, I think the KeepKey costs about $40 right now. But if you sign up with your email and some personal data, you can get the hardware wallet for $10. So basically, it's like they say, you can sell your transaction data and your public addresses to us, and we're going to know how much Bitcoin you own and how you transact and what you buy and stuff like that. And we're going to give you a $30 discount. And I'm not sure if the trade-off is worth it. And on the other side of the spectrum, you have the ColdCard wallet, which has no native user interface. It's just a device. I think I have one around here. It's this one. And it doesn't have any kind of proprietary software. They haven't worked on anything except for the on-device software. And there's a lot of stuff that you do directly on the device without ever connecting to the internet, which is an ideal case, because ColdCard is not going to know how much Bitcoin you own and how often you're transacting and with whom you're transacting. And a lot of people, when they think about hardware wallets, they only care about the security of the coins, which objectively speaking can be done by any device that uses cryptography and merges the repository of Trezor because it's open source. but you must also care about privacy. And you don't want everybody to know how much Bitcoin you own and what your addresses are and all that kind of data, which might be valuable to some people and some governmental agencies, but it defeats the purpose of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and cryptography and the cypherpunk spirit.
Very interesting point. You know, a lot of us, when we think of cold storage wallets, we think about keeping our crypto safe from being stolen, but interesting point to keep also the data and how much we own secure. Now, you said you did a usability test. Do all these require a computer or laptop to plug into? Or could I say, you know, on the go, I'm at a restaurant that, that accepts Bitcoin. Can I use my phone? Can I use just the device? Or I need a computer?
Well, it depends on what you're referring to, because what you're saying right now is, I think, the Ledger model, because they have Bluetooth connectivity. So you can just use your phone and maybe have the device in your pocket and nobody sees it, but you use your phone to make payments if you want to, if that's what you're planning.
Is
But if you want
is that
to,
Bluetooth a security liability? Does that make it more vulnerable to hackers because it is Bluetooth enabled?
the Bluetooth connection is not related to the secure element which stores your private keys. I've actually done a bit of research in this sense because it makes sense when you think about it that Bluetooth is an extra attack vector and hackers can exploit it. But the connection with the Bluetooth connection only leads to the microcontroller, which is a general purpose chip that doesn't store any kind of private keys. So if people hack your Bluetooth connection, they can't really do much. They cannot steal your coins. I think the most they can do is accept a transaction or something like that that you don't agree with, or possibly change the address to which you're sending your Bitcoins. And I think that's the worst case.
Yeah,
But
that seems like a that if they're able to change the address, the output address or the recipient address you're sending to, that seems like a pretty you know, big attack vector. That if a hacker just has to be nearby, sees someone making a purchase, and is able to just, you know, divert all the Bitcoin to his address.
yeah, I'm saying it's theoretically possible because so far the ledger didn't undergo this type of hacking. And I think we are living in the golden age of hardware wallets right now because we have all these companies that compete and they try to come up with something that's better than the competition and improve on the previous models and be as open and as efficient as possible. And nowadays, I think in the last week, we have seen some kind of war going on between the Bitbox people and the companies called Shift Crypto and the CoinKite people who developed the Cold Card wallet. And if you look at specifications, hardware specifications, these two devices have a lot in common, but both of them are basically paying their employees, their hackers, to look at the competition's device and find exploits and find all sorts of problems that they fix. And in the end, it's the customers who win because they get better security, and these hackers who are ethical and they just expect some kind of bounty to receive, they find exploits about which the average user will never think. So that's beneficial. But I wanted to say that except for this model that Ledger has developed with the Bluetooth connection, you also have the cold card, which can never be connected to your computer. You can just use a power source to power it, and it uses a BIP, which is called partially signed Bitcoin transactions, PSBT. And it means that you can connect your SD card to your computer and synchronize the data with Electrum or with Wasabi. But you don't have to physically connect the device to your computer, which is very important.
And right now, what, in your view, what is the biggest challenge stopping or stopping the shift from people holding their crypto on an exchange to switching over to everyone keeping their own hardware wallet?
I think that these people who are holding their Bitcoins on exchanges are mostly deterred by the fear of embracing sovereignty. I don't think it's the user interface because Trezor and Ledger and also KeepKey and Bitbox have made some very friendly user interfaces. You just have to click That's it. You just have to understand what that is about, and you have to click. But these people who hold their Bitcoins on exchanges, they either want to trade, which I guess is a legit use case, and they have all the reasons to be on the exchange, or they just want to hold some kind of company liable for their potential losses. And they're afraid of saying, I'm going to embrace financial sovereignty and take care of the Bitcoins myself, because they're afraid of losing their seed words or mismanaging their private key or doing some kind of faulty multi-sig setup that they cannot recover afterwards. And I can understand that these are legit concerns, but at the same time, there is so much education out there. And if you just do a YouTube search, you're going to find people doing setups with each hardware wallet. And that's very useful. And that can help you along the process.
All right, and lastly, to finish us off, which hardware wallet would you recommend after your research? Which would you recommend?
Well, I have come to the conclusion that if you know what you're doing and you know how to use Electrum Personal Server or Wasabi, it doesn't matter which one you pick. Because if the client that you're running is local and the data gets stored on your computer and through your connection, and you can also use something like Tor or a VPN to not reveal your IP to the outside world, and you also know how to do UTXO management, then it's all very simple. But if you don't know any of this, then you have to choose between Trezor or Ledger or KeepKey or Bitbox. I think the cold card is only for power users who know what they're doing. So they all have pros and cons if you use the default user interface. And you have to understand that you're basically trusting the company with your transaction data, with your IP, with your email address if you sign up, and all this kind of personal information that can be processed in ways that you're not aware of. So I think right now I really like the Bitbox 02, but I think this recommendation comes with some sort of warning sign, because their first model, the Bitbox, got hacked by some kind of security expert in every way. So the second model improves on the lessons of the previous one and comes up with lots of improvements. And I think why I like it so much right now is that it allows connectivity to your full node, which is very important for your transaction privacy and also for your verification of transactions. And it also comes with UTXO control and batch 32 addresses by default. And that's a very big deal, because in Trezor, you can send to batch 32 addresses, but you cannot receive. And I hope I didn't get this the other way around. And in Ledger, it took them about 2 years to implement these native SegWit addresses. So Bitbox has it by default. KeepKey doesn't. And all of them except for KeepKey can connect to Wasabi Wallet, which objectively speaking is the most private computer wallet that you can install. And it's very simple to use. But if you know what you're doing and you're capable of embracing full financial sovereignty and live like a cypherpunk, then you should not compromise with any of these products and get the cold card. So it's really up to you and your needs.
Vlad, well, like you said, it sounds like we're living in the golden era of hardware wallets. There's a choice for everyone, each with their pros and cons. So specifically, it depends on the person you are, the type of trader or hodler you are. Vlad, thank you so much for doing the dirty work for us, for checking out those hardware wallets. And make sure all you at home, remember, sometimes not your key, not your crypto. Stay safe, stay informed, and stay tuned at BLOCKTV.com.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.